All right. Welcome, good people, to the Neural Dojo podcast. This is a space where humans and machines meet to think out loud. Around here, we call it binary banter. These are short, smart conversations that explore how intelligence, creativity, and curiosity evolve together. No hype. Well, maybe a little hype. But mostly, we rock with dialogue worth tuning into. Me, well, I'm your host, Kyrie, aka KT, the AI Sensei, and today is just you, me, and the algo, and we're talking about the elephant in the office, shadow AI. Not the AI your company approved, not the polished slide deck version, and not the cute innovation committee version. I'm talking about the real version, the one where employees are already using AI to write, summarize, analyze, brainstorm, draft, and shortcut work, while leadership is still acting like this is some future problem they'll get around to next quarter. So let's get to the receipts. Okay, time for some stats. As of the end of 2025, the Federal Reserve says about 18% of firms had adopted AI, while work-related generative AI used by individuals was sitting around 41%. Thomson Reuters Institute found professionals are already experimenting with AI while dealing with unclear policies, and nearly 40% said they were getting conflicting direction about AI use. Grant Thornton's latest AI impact survey says 78% of executives do not have strong confidence that their organization could pass an independent AI governance audit within 90 days. So all that to say what? Essentially, all those ones and zeros confirm what we all already know. People are using it. And no, most companies are not actually managing it. That's the crisis. That is the gap right now. And that's exactly why this conversation matters. So if you heard those numbers at the top and thought, yeah, we are probably in that 78%, we would not pass that audit, then here's the plain truth. You don't need more AI hype. You need visibility, structure, and an audit. And honestly, you probably needed it yesterday, because figuring out where your blind spots are is hard when you're standing in the middle of them. Lucky for you, that's exactly what I do. I help businesses identify where shadow AI is already happening, where the risk is hiding, what the work gaps are, and what real playbooks need to be built so the team can move faster without creating hidden chaos. So if your company is serious about using AI, not just talking about it, hit the link in the description and book a discovery call. Let's expose the shadow workflows, tighten up the weak points, and build something your team can actually trust. Because once your team starts using AI without a clear structure, you no longer have real adoption. You've got confusion, risk, and hidden ways of working, making choices inside your business without clear oversight. So the question is not, is your team using AI? Because if we're all 100% honest, we're squarely in the Oprah Christmas special era of AI. You know what I mean? The era where you get an AI and you get an AI and you get an AI. The question is, are you going to formalize it or are you going to ban it and pretend that solves something? Let's talk about it. Up first, a reality check. Listen, banning it sounds strong, it sounds responsible, and it sounds like leadership. But a lot of the time it's just fear wearing a security badge. And we're not talking top shelf background verified security. Nope. We're rocking with that top flight security from the movie Friday After Next with Craig and Day Day. You feel me? Why? Because banning AI does not magically stop usage. It just changes where the usage happens. Kind of like when people stop asking altogether and just start doing stuff in the shadows. So now, instead of people using approved tools, they're using personal accounts, random browser tabs, unapproved apps, and copy pasting company or client info into systems nobody vetted. That's not safer. That's darker. And if you're a business owner or team leader, here's the part you need to hear clearly. If you ignore AI because you think silence equals control, you're not reducing risk. You're just choosing to be the last person to know when something breaks. That's the real problem with shadow AI. It creates false confidence at the top and quiet guesswork everywhere else. Your team still wants speed, support, and a way to get more done in less time, and AI is giving them that right now. So unless you replace that with approved tools, policy, process, and training, they're going to build their own version of efficiency behind your back. That's not rebellion. That's people following the path of least resistance to get work done. And that segues perfectly into the next thing we need to take a gander at, the liability trap. Let's look at the hard truth here. A lot of companies want the good parts of AI without the hard work that comes with it. They want faster work, lower costs, quicker ideas, cheaper execution, better support, smaller teams, and bigger margins. That's cool. But then you ask simple grown up questions like what tools are approved, what data is allowed, who checks prompts, what gets tracked, what gets checked, and what happens when the model is wrong. And suddenly the room gets real quiet. I'm talking crickets. Because the truth is, a lot of leaders want AI benefits without AI rules and oversight. They want speed without accountability. That's not innovation, that's carelessness dressed up like innovation. You don't get to outsource judgment to a chatbot and keep pretending leadership happened. If your employee sends a bad AI written client memo, if sensitive data gets pasted into a public tool, or if an internal recommendation turns out unfair, wrong, or against policy, nobody's going to say, well, the chatbot thought it was okay. That responsibility comes right back to the humans, right back to management, and right back to the company. If this sounds like you, I strongly suggest you watch or rewatch the previous episode number 23 on why you shouldn't trust Google's AI overviews at face value. Real talk, same rules apply here. And this is why lazy AI adoption is more dangerous than slow AI adoption. Slow adoption can be corrected. Fast, sloppy adoption creates legal risk, trust damage, bad work, and a culture where nobody knows who is responsible for what. And what's worse, it compounds at scale. Okay, this next angle is the one very few leaders are thinking about, and it might be the most important one, the culture cost. This is the people side of the problem, and it matters a lot. Here's the thing, unmanaged AI doesn't just create work process problems, it creates people problems too. When there's no clear guidance, your best employees start guessing. Some of them feel smart because they found a shortcut. Some of them feel nervous because they don't know if they're allowed to use it. Some worry they're training their replacement. Others feel like they're already being judged against machine speed. That kind of confusion breaks trust fast. People don't do their best in places where the rules are unclear and the results are hard to see. And once staff start hiding how they work because they don't know how leadership will react, your culture is already cracking. Let me say that plainly. If your team is secretly using AI to survive the workload and leadership is publicly acting like AI is either banned or irrelevant, you do not have alignment. You've got people acting like things are lined up when they're not. And that's expensive because trust usually breaks before productivity shows up. Everybody wants the nice polished story about AI making teams more efficient. Fewer people want to talk about the messy middle where employees are scared, leadership is vague, and the business quietly builds up risk while calling it innovation. You can't build a healthy AI culture on mixed signals. If you want people to use AI responsibly, you have to give them clear and safe conditions to use it in, full stop. All right, fourth and final angle for today, systems failure. And this is where the conversation gets more practical because shadow AI is not just a behavior problem, it's a systems problem. If you don't provide an approved set of tools, basic permissions, work boundaries, and tracking rules, you're creating the conditions for shadow AI yourself. I mean, you straight up left a gap and people fill gaps fast when work has to get done. So what happens? Marketing uses one model, sales uses another, ops uses whatever free tool somebody found online. Somebody pastes customer info where it shouldn't go. Somebody uses AI to write something important, but nobody knows where the information came from. Somebody else makes a decision based on AI output that never got reviewed. Now you've got inconsistent work, data risk, no clear record, and a whole lot of finger pointing once something goes wrong. This is why approved tools matter. This is why role-based permissions matter, meaning who is allowed to use what. This is why work boundaries matter. And this is why policy without real action is decorative. If all you have is a vague statement like use AI responsibly, congrats. You don't have real governance, meaning clear rules and oversight. You've got a motivational poster. Real governance answers plain questions clearly. Which tools are approved? Which teams can use which features? What data is never allowed in prompts? What needs human review? What gets written down? Who handles exceptions? And what happens when there's a problem? That stuff's not flashy. It's the difference between helpful support and serious risk. All right, let's pause for a sec. Do you feel seen or maybe attacked? If so, good. Either way, that means you're paying attention. Now, I'm not going to beat up on you and not give you the fix, right? Right. Let's get practical on solutions to this growing issue. By now, you know how we do around here. I've got some dojo drills coming at you. So What do you actually do if you suspect shadow AI is already happening inside your business? You don't start with punishment. You start with discovery. Dojo drill number 1, the discovery walkthrough. Ask your team a simple question. What tools are you using right now to save time? Not what tools are approved, not what tools are in policy. What are you actually using? And when they answer, do not come in hot. Do not punish honesty. Map the current state. Because if you create fear at the discovery stage, all you teach people to do is lie better. You need a real list before you can build real governance. Locked in? Cool. Dojo drill number 2, the don't feed it secrets rule. This one needs to be immediate. Client data, financial data, employee records, personal information, passwords, internal strategy docs, unreleased product information, anything sensitive. These things do not under any circumstances go into a public prompt box, period, full stop. And in the illustrious words of the Master Control Program of Tron fame, end of line. No ambiguity, no feeling, no maybe. If your company hasn't defined that yet, you're already behind. And then from there, you move into the real work, which brings me cleanly to my final dojo drill for today. I give you drill number 3. This is the one greenlit tool rule. Look, if you tell your team what they can't use, you have to give them something they can use. You can't just take away their speed and expect them to be happy. You need to pick one AI tool, one where your data is actually protected and not used to train the public model, and officially roll it out to the team, or at the very least train them on how to use a specific tool in an approved and vetted way. Give them the keys to a safe tool. Once you do that, you can officially ban all the random, sketchy browser extensions they've been using. If you don't give them a safe way to move fast, they're going to find a dangerous way. So to be clear, you've got to define approved tools, clear guardrails, role-specific use cases, human review points, basic training, escalation rules, and documentation. That's how you formalize it. Not by trying to become the most futuristic company in your industry by Friday, by becoming the company that knows what's being used, where, by whom, for what, and under what rules. And in doing that, man, my good people, that's the win. Because the companies that benefit most from AI over the next few years are not just going to be the ones who adopt it first. They're going to be the ones who can prove it's being used responsibly, the same way each time, and in line with the business. That's the gap right now. And that's exactly why this conversation matters. And with that, I guess we'll call it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you learned something, but more than that, I hope this puts a proverbial battery in the back of each of you to act on this. You've been listening to the Neural Dojo, where binary banter meets mindful conversation. If something sparked your curiosity, share it, tag a friend or 10, and keep the dialogue going. Let's hear your feedback in the comments so the algo can get this in front of more people. Until next time, stay curious, stay balanced, and keep training your mind. Peace.